Can a fifth-round rookie quarterback who plummeted faster than a skydiver without a parachute truly eclipse a Super Bowl MVP boasting nearly 2 decades of NFL experience? Welcome to the most electrifying quarterback duel in Cleveland Browns history, where age collides with youth, experience clashes with potential, and Joe Flacco's legendary icy composure faces off against Shedeur Sanders' magnetic social media charisma. The drama unfolding in Cleveland is nothing short of extraordinary, a generational showdown unlike anything we've witnessed before. Picture this: 40-year-old Joe Flacco, old enough to be Shedeur's father, sharing a locker room with 23-year-old Sanders, who was born the very year Flacco inked his commitment to Pittsburgh. The age gap isn't merely notable, it's historically unprecedented for teammates vying for the same starting role. Even Flacco himself acknowledged this mind-bending dynamic during recent OTAs with his trademark dry wit. "I probably wasn't too far away from playing against his dad, and now I'm playing with him." Pause and let that sink in. We're talking about a quarterback who nearly faced off against Deion Sanders in the NFL, now mentoring his son in the same facility. But here's where the narrative explodes. The Browns aren't merely hoping Shedeur can compete with Flacco. They're banking on Coach Prime's transformative leadership philosophy to redefine the entire franchise culture. When Ryan Clark exposed the NFL's ugly bias against Shedeur during the draft process, Deion Sanders responded with a bold declaration: "Amen, my brother, amen." That's the Sanders family's battle cry, a defiant stand against the narrative that sabotaged Shedeur's draft position and cost them millions. This isn't just about a quarterback competition anymore, it's about whether the Browns can channel the Sanders family's indomitable spirit into a winning, sustainable culture while navigating the relentless media circus that follows them everywhere. Now let's dissect why this quarterback battle is so captivating from every conceivable angle. Joe Flacco isn't your typical veteran placeholder. He's a proven playoff warrior who single-handedly revived Cleveland's 2023 season, steering them into an unexpected postseason berth when the entire league had written them off. Flacco's approach to Sanders reveals everything about his championship mentality. When asked about mentoring the rookie, Flacco essentially told reporters, "Miss me with that nonsense." He's focused on securing the starting job, not running a quarterback daycare. That competitive fire at 40 is precisely why the Browns brought him back. Throughout OTAs, Flacco has been nothing but professional and complimentary towards Sanders, but in that measured, veteran way that screams, "I respect your talent, but I'm not giving you anything for free." Sanders himself confessed, "It's funny seeing Joe every day. I'm like, wow, I'm really here with Joe Flacco. We're on the same team." That's the awe of a young player realizing he's sharing a locker room with an NFL legend. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to acknowledge. Flacco might be the perfect mentor for Sanders precisely because he refuses to play the soft mentor role. Instead of coddling the rookie, Flacco is demonstrating what it means to prepare like a pro, compete at the highest level, and handle the intense pressure of the NFL without letting emotions dictate performance. The generational divide naturally creates learning opportunities, too. Flacco even joked that working with young quarterbacks helps him stay connected with his own kids and keeps things fun. Meanwhile, Sanders is soaking up lessons from a quarterback who's navigated everything the NFL can throw at him over 18 seasons. But here's where this entire narrative takes a seismic turn that could revolutionize how NFL franchises approach quarterback development and cultural transformation. The Browns didn't just draft Shedeur Sanders. They drafted the entire Coach Prime ethos and all the challenges and benefits it brings. Ryan Clark's impassioned defense of the Sanders family exposed the hidden biases that sabotaged Shedeur's draft stock, revealing that evaluations were never about his talent, but about unverifiable narratives surrounding his character and personality. This suggests that Shedeur's slide was more about institutional prejudice than actual football acumen, and now the Browns must decide if they can harness that same relentless drive to silence doubters and turn that defiance into a winning formula. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders has been captivating onlookers. It's not merely his lightning-quick release or his increasingly polished mechanics. It's the way he's seizing the spotlight in a room already stacked with seasoned veterans and promising talent. Sports Illustrated couldn't turn a blind eye, highlighting that Shedeur's rapid ascent is undeniable. In just over a month, his presence has transformed the entire dynamic of the Browns' quarterback competition. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, ever the champion of meritocracy, might keep things lighthearted publicly, but those who watch closely know Shedeur Sanders is already carving out his own legacy. Let's be honest, even if you're not completely sold on Sanders as the heir apparent, his potential is impossible to dismiss. Remember, not long ago, he was touted as a possible #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Now, shifting gears, according to insider Jordan Schultz, the Pittsburgh Steelers are aggressively seeking a new offensive guard. This isn't just another idle offseason rumor. There's substantial momentum behind these negotiations. The most prominent name linked, Kyle Pitts, the former top 5 draft pick from the Atlanta Falcons. Although the Falcons aren't openly shopping him, they're reportedly receptive to offers, especially if a day 2 draft pick, second or third rounder is on the table. On paper, Kyle Pitts boasts undeniable star power. He dazzled at Florida and in his rookie season racked up over 1,000 receiving yards, showcasing flashes of his jaw-dropping potential. Yet since then, his spark has dimmed. Concerns linger that he hasn't fully realized his immense promise. He's no longer the unstoppable force with contested catches or the surgical route-running prowess that had scouts drooling before the draft. While his physical gifts remain elite, the stark reality is that after 4 seasons, his potential feels more theoretical than tangible. The Steelers already feature a dependable tight end core led by Pat Freiermuth, sure-hand, consistent, and a reliable possession receiver. So does it really make sense to bring in Pitts, whose skill set overlaps significantly with Freiermuth's? That's where this rumor begins to lose its shine. And let's not forget Pitt's looming contract extension. He's entering the final year of his rookie deal. Any trade would necessitate not only draft capital, but also a hefty new contract. Instead, there's increasing chatter around another name, Jonnu Smith. And this isn't idle gossip. Smith thrived under Arthur Smith in Atlanta, especially in screen-heavy packages where his yards sector catch prowess turned him into a nightmare for defenders. He's not only more explosive with the ball than Pitts, but also had a far more productive 2023 campaign. Plus, he brings a different dimension to the Steelers' offense compared to Freiermuth, offering a complementary skill set rather than redundant talent. Smith would seamlessly fit the Steelers' vision of deploying heavy 12 or 13 personnel, meaning multiple tight ends on the field at once, a core feature of Arthur Smith's offensive scheme. Right now, Freiermuth is solid and Darnell Washington is a fantastic blocker, but the depth behind them is questionable. Connor Hayward and others simply don't inspire enough confidence to fully commit to this tight end-centric identity. However, adding Smith would also raise a significant financial dilemma. Do the Steelers really want to commit top-tier salaries to 2 tight ends? Freiermuth already commands a salary north of $12 million annually, and Smith, coming off a Pro Bowl season, is likely seeking around $15 million per year. That's nearly $30 million tied up in a single position group. A precarious financial gamble unless both players are featured prominently. Effectively orchestrated formations and strategic deployments would be indispensable. But beyond just tight ends, the Steelers aren't halting their pursuit of dynamic offensive weapons. There's growing speculation about a blazing fast wide receiver they've been monitoring, Trey Palmer from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This 24-year-old speedster, a 6th-round selection out of Nebraska, clocked a legitimate 4.3-second 40-yard dash, cementing his reputation as one of the league's fastest players. Palmer's allure lies in his electrifying speed and his capacity to stretch defenses vertically, Though he's not known for making contested catches and his hands can be inconsistent, his ability to stack defensive backs and torch defenders on deep crossing routes is a tantalizing trait. Surprisingly, he's also an aggressive run blocker, an attribute Arthur Smith highly values. With Tampa Bay drafting 2 new receivers, Palmer's roster spot may be in jeopardy, opening the door for Pittsburgh to potentially secure a bargain. A late-round pick swap might be all it takes to bring him in. Palmer isn't the only name circulating. John Mechie has also been floated as a viable target, a young, cost-controlled receiver with refined route running and reliable hands. Yet, if the Steelers are truly going all in, one development cannot be overlooked: the looming presence of Aaron Rodgers. There's mounting anticipation that Rodgers could sign with the Steelers before the June 10th mandatory minicamp. Should that transpire, veteran receivers like Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen, both of whom have reportedly been hesitant to commit without clarity at quarterback, could suddenly become legitimate targets. Imagine this scenario. Aaron Rodgers under center, firing passes to George Pickens, Amari Cooper, or Keenan Allen, with Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth wreaking havoc in tight end sets, while Trey Palmer blazes downfield, stretching defenses to the brink. That's an offense built to win now. An offense designed to chase championships. With Cam Hayward's career entering its twilight, the urgency is palpable. Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have signaled clearly the time to win is now. Yet amid all this potential wheeling and dealing, from trades for Pitts or Smith to eyeing Palmer, Cooper, or Allen, one pivotal question emerges: which move makes the most strategic sense for the Steelers right now? Steelers Nation, sound off below. Should the Steelers go all in on Jonnu Smith, Kyle Pitts, or should they prioritize upgrading the wide receiver core first? Let's dissect this rapidly evolving situation, because the decisions made in the next few weeks could define the Steelers' 2025 season and perhaps the legacy of this front office under Omar Khan. Starting with Jonnu Smith. It's essential to appreciate why he's more than just a convenient option. He's a tactical chess piece, bringing athleticism, versatility, and a proven track record within Arthur Smith's system. If the Steelers truly intend to lean heavily on 12 and 13 personnel packages, they can't simply rely on Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. Jonnu's presence would allow Pittsburgh to diversify its tight end usage. He's not just a blocker or a possession target. He can line up in the backfield, shift into the slot, and become a screen threat at any moment. And this isn't just theoretical. Smith was used extensively in these roles by the Falcons in 2023, earning a Pro Bowl selection and proving he's still a dynamic asset. The goal here isn't redundancy, it's versatility. Jonnu Smith brings a unique dimension that Freiermuth doesn't, and that contrast could make Pittsburgh's offense far more unpredictable, but that price tag still looms large. If Pittsburgh pulls the trigger on a trade, they'll need to compensate him handsomely. That opens the door to a crucial question. Can the Steelers justify investing nearly $30 million, 0 cents, annually in today's NFL? If you're building a bruising smash-mouth offense anchored by tight ends, maybe, but it has to deliver results. If Arthur Smith's system falters, or if the team fails to creatively utilize both Smith and Freiermuth, this could become an expensive misstep. Fans remember all too well previous instances of overinvesting in certain positions without seeing the returns. Shifting focus to the wide receiver room again, the Steelers still have an undeniable void. Beyond George Pickens, who has blossomed into a legitimate number 1 threat, the depth chart is unsteady. Calvin Austin III boasts blazing speed, but his size and consistency are question marks. And Jefferson fits the system but doesn't move the needle. Robert Woods brings veteran leadership but appears to be past his prime. That's what makes Trey Palmer such an intriguing option. He's young, affordable, and possesses game-breaking speed that none of the current receivers can replicate. Imagine defenses forced to respect both Pickens' physicality and Palmer's deep threat. It would force secondaries to play honestly, opening up the middle of the field for tight ends and checkdowns. Palmer's speed stretches defenses both vertically and horizontally, creating mismatches everywhere. Yes, his hands remain a concern. He's had drop and fumble issues, but his upside is undeniable, especially considering that Tampa Bay's recent draft moves make him expendable. This is precisely the kind of low-risk, high-reward acquisition that astute front offices covet. He's under team control for 2 more seasons, and his cap hit is negligible in today's NFL economy. Practically a steal. So here's the million-dollar question. If the Steelers can only make one move before minicamp, what should it be? Should they go all in for Jonnu Smith, invest in a dynamic wide receiver like Palmer, or perhaps pivot toward another opportunity? Let me know your thoughts, Steelers Nation, because the choices made in the coming weeks will shape the fate of the 2025 season and potentially define the legacy of Omar Khan and this front office. We live in an age that craves certainty, especially in sports. Fans want bold predictions. The media demands sizzling headlines. Nobody wants to admit that sometimes the truth is, well, messy. There's a razor-thin line between a future star and a roster casualty. But in Cleveland, one rookie quarterback is already forcing people to pick a side, even if they've barely seen him throw a pass. So now it's your turn, Browns fans. What do you make of Joe Flacco's attitude toward mentoring? Should Dustin Hopkins still be trusted with long-range kicks? Is Myles Garrett's OTA absence just noise or something deeper? And let me know in the comments below. Because here's the truth. These aren't just side plots. They're the pulse of the season. When a franchise seeks to forge a new identity in one of the NFL's toughest divisions, every choice, every personality, every puzzle piece matters. Take Dustin Hopkins, for instance. If he regains even a fraction of his 2023 form, suddenly Kevin Stefanski doesn't have to punt from the 35-yard line. Suddenly that 4th and 5 at the 38 becomes a field goal attempt instead of a momentum killer. It changes how you call a game. It changes your level of aggression. It injects confidence, not just in the offense, but in the entire team. Knowing you can rely on your kicker from range. It's not just about Shedeur's individual growth. Deion Sanders addressed the absurd rumors about his son attending meetings unprepared, defending Shedeur as a player who's navigated through 6 different coordinators, yet still thrived and elevated his game every time a new face entered the room. That adaptability and growth mindset could be precisely what Cleveland's culture craves. But here's the electrifying question that's keeping Browns fans tossing and turning at night. Can the organization effectively harness Coach Prime's magnetic leadership influence without it becoming a distraction or source of internal strife? The Sanders family undeniably brings a championship mentality and an unshakable winner's mindset, but they also bring an influx of media scrutiny, external commentary, and the potential for controversy. The key will be establishing firm boundaries between familial support and professional autonomy. Ryan Clark emphasized that it's time for Deion to let go a bit and allow Shedeur to stand on his own as a man without constant parental involvement. If the Browns can strike that balance, they might just have the secret formula for developing their franchise quarterback of the future. Here's the million-dollar question that will define Cleveland's entire 2025 season and possibly the next decade of Browns football. Can Shedeur Sanders truly outperform Joe Flacco on the gridiron, or will the rookie quickly learn that NFL success demands far more than college accolades and Instagram followers? The early indicators from OTAs are downright intriguing. Sanders completed 7 of 9 passes with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions during team drills, while Flacco posted 9 of 14 with 1 touchdown. Those numbers show that Sanders is already demonstrating the poise and precision that made him a collegiate standout despite the draft day drama. However, we can't ignore the undeniable elephant in the locker room, Flacco's championship pedigree and his proven ability to elevate his game when the stakes are highest. The man's thrown for over 45,000 NFL yards, earned a Super Bowl MVP, and practically resurrected Cleveland's season just 2 years ago. That resume doesn't vanish just because a talented rookie walks in the door. Yet here's the game-changing reality that could tip the scales in Sanders' favor. The Browns aren't just betting on his arm strength. They're betting on his capacity to reshape the franchise's entire identity and expectations. The hidden agenda that Ryan Clark exposed during the draft might have actually forged the perfect chip on his shoulder fuel that great quarterbacks use to ascend to elite status. The leadership question is paramount. Can Sanders demonstrate that he's ready to lead grown men with families and livelihoods on the line, or will Flacco's steady, seasoned professionalism remain exactly what this young roster needs as it matures? And here's the ultimate irony. During the draft, Deion joked that Flacco was his age when discussing Cleveland's quarterback situation. But now that same age disparity might be the very thing that creates the ideal environment for Shedeur's growth. Sometimes the best mentors are the ones who refuse to wear the mentor label, letting the rookie earn his place through competition and merit. And in essence, the Browns are conducting a real-time experiment in quarterback development, cultural transformation, and generational leadership transfer. If it succeeds, they'll have not only their franchise quarterback, but also a blueprint for integrating high-profile rookie talent. If it fails, Cleveland's quarterback carousel will keep spinning for years to come. The stage is set for the most captivating quarterback duel of 2025, where experience meets potential, proven production clashes with boundless upside, and the Browns finally discover if their daring bet on the Sanders family legacy can translate into sustained winning football. Bold prediction: Shedeur Sanders will challenge Joe Flacco harder than any competitor he's faced in years, ultimately seizing the starting job by week 6 and proving that the NFL's evaluation process completely underestimated his character and leadership. The talent is undeniable, the motivation is sky high, and the leadership foundation is already established. All that's left is for Sanders to prove that his college dominance wasn't simply a byproduct of playing for dad, but a glimpse of his NFL destiny. What's your take? Can Shedeur dethrone the veteran Flacco, or will experience prevail over potential? Drop your predictions in the comments and subscribe for more NFL hot takes that slice through the noise. Thank you, guys. See you next video.